Most people spend their lives trying to be seen. They speak louder. They dress bolder. They post more. But for all the noise they make, very few ever leave a lasting mark. There's a quiet truth most overlook. The brightest stars don't beg for attention. They shine regardless. This is the story of a man who understood that. A man who never boasted, yet everyone remembered him. His name was Arjun. And his story teaches us something deeper than ambition. It teaches us that real greatness needs no announcement. Arjun lived in a small town where nobody really stood out. People worked, they complained, they lived in cycles. But Arjun was different. Not because he drove a fancy car or wore designer shoes. In fact, he did the opposite. He walked to work every morning, rain or shine, always early. He wore the same old watch he'd owned since college. He spoke gently, but his actions roared. While others rushed to tell the world what they were doing, Arjun simply did the work, without fanfare, without expectations, without applause. The story began when Arjun was in his early 20s. Like most people his age, he wanted to prove himself. He tried talking about his goals. He tried showing everyone how hard he was working, but nothing really stuck. One day, after failing to impress during a job interview, he went to visit his grandfather. The old man listened carefully, and then said just one thing: "Do more, say less, let it show." That line burned itself into Arjun's heart. From that day, Arjun stopped trying to be noticed. He didn't waste time broadcasting his plans. He focused on improving his skills quietly. He read at night when others slept. He volunteered to help with projects at work, not because he wanted recognition, but because he believed in excellence. He built habits that nobody saw. But soon results began to speak louder than any self-promotion ever could. Years passed. At his workplace, people began to turn to Arjun when they needed help. Not because he advertised himself, but because he consistently delivered. When others were still planning how to impress, Arjun was already halfway done. His consistency was his message. His silence became his strength. One day, the company was going through a major transition. Management was looking for someone to lead a new division. They needed someone reliable, disciplined, focused. Many people pushed their names forward. They sent emails, spoke loudly in meetings. Some even boasted about their achievements. Arjun said nothing, but his work. It had already built his reputation. He was chosen without having to say a word. And when he was asked why he never applied, he smiled and replied, "I believe in doing the work, not talking about it." This wasn't just about career. Arjun's philosophy spilled into every area of his life. In friendships, he listened more than he spoke. In love, he showed care through actions rather than grand gestures. In family, he didn't make promises. He simply showed up when it mattered. People noticed. They felt safe with him, respected him. Not because he asked for it, but because he earned it through quiet consistency. There's something profound about a person who does not need to show off. In a world obsessed with attention, that kind of quiet strength feels like truth. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's real. People may not clap for it, but they remember it. And that's what truly matters. We live in a time where everyone is told to brand themselves, be loud, stand out, market every move. But somewhere in that noise, we've lost touch with something sacred. The value of inner discipline, the strength of quiet character, the magic of letting your life speak for itself. Arjun didn't need validation. He wasn't fueled by likes or applause. He was driven by purpose. That purpose gave him peace. It gave him freedom. And ultimately, it gave him influence far greater than any social media reach could provide. One evening, years later, Arjun was mentoring a young man named Rishi. The boy was talented but restless, always chasing the next big thing, always frustrated by how slowly things moved. He asked Arjun for advice. How do I get noticed? How do I stand out? Arjun looked at him, paused for a moment and said, do not try to be seen. Try to become so good that being seen is inevitable. Let your craft speak. Let your results shine. But never chase applause. Applause fades. Character stays. That night, Rishi went home thinking deeply. Something shifted. He stopped trying to go viral. He started waking up earlier, studying longer, listening more. Months later, he earned a scholarship not because he made noise, but because his quiet discipline stood out. That's the ripple effect of a life lived in quiet strength. We all have a choice. We can either try to impress or we can choose to improve. We can either speak about our goals or we can let our progress do the talking. And when we choose the latter, something beautiful happens. We stop living for the crowd and start living for our purpose. There's a reason why the tallest trees don't make noise while growing. There's a reason why the deepest waters flow silently. Real strength is often invisible, but it's always undeniable. When you shine without showing off, you give people something to feel rather than something to watch. You become a reminder that grace exists, that discipline matters, that truth still holds power. Arjun's story is not rare because it's impossible. It's rare because it's unpopular. It goes against what the world screams at us daily. But if you've ever felt exhausted by the need to prove yourself, maybe it's time to try a different path. Maybe it's time to just focus on doing the work, on mastering the craft, on keeping your promises to yourself, and trusting that the right people will see it. They always do. Think about the people who've inspired you the most. Was it the loudest person in the room, or the one whose presence spoke for itself? Often, we remember those who lived with quiet confidence, who were kind without needing credit, who served without seeking praise. That's the kind of legacy Arjun left. Not built on volume, built on value. There is power in silence, not the silence of inaction, but the silence of a person so focused on becoming better that they forget to worry about being seen. That kind of person builds a life worth remembering, not because they shouted, but because they shined. So, if you find yourself tempted to announce every step you take, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I doing this for growth or for attention? Am I seeking applause or am I pursuing purpose? The answers will guide you. And once you choose purpose, you will notice something strange. You'll care less about being noticed. You'll care more about getting better. And ironically, that's what makes people notice you. In Arjun's final years, he never changed. Even when success knocked on his door, even when people celebrated his work. He remained grounded. He still woke up early, still walked to his favorite tea shop, still smiled and said little. And when people asked him how he stayed so humble, he would smile and say, I never tried to be great, I just tried to be useful. There's a simple lesson here. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You don't need to show off to be seen, just do the work. Show up daily. Stay true to your word. Improve quietly. Serve sincerely. The rest takes care of itself. When you do more and say less, you give the world something real. And in a time where everything feels staged, that kind of authenticity is rare. It's refreshing. It's unforgettable. Shine without showing off. That's not just advice. It's a way of life, one that leads to peace, to purpose, and ultimately to a legacy that doesn't fade. So, wherever you are in your journey, remember Arjun's story. You don't need the world to clap. You just need to keep walking, keep building, keep showing up. The world sees more than you think, but more importantly, your own soul sees it. And when your actions align with your values, that is when you truly shine. Let others chase the spotlight. You chase the truth. Do more, say less. Let it show.